Assalamu alaikum. Hey guys, this is the Shaheed from Quranic Connection TV, and in today's daily Quran challenge we are talking about the verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
وقال الذين لا يعلمون لولا يكلمنا الله أو تأتينا آية كذلك قال الذين من قبلهم مثل قولهم تشابهت قلوبهم قد بينا الآيات لقوم يوقنون.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here, like, those who don't know, those of ignorance, they say, like, why doesn't Allah speak to us? Like, why doesn't Allah send us an ayah? Like, they want to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. Now, the thing about this is, like, many people, they feel as though in order to believe, to have certainty, they need to speak to Allah directly, or they need some miracle in their life, regardless of the fact that there's so many miracles around them in their life, but they're not willing to look at those things and look beyond, and they need to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. But the fact is, like, that is the ilm al-ghayb, the knowledge of the unseen, is that which comes to us through revelation. But if you were to see it, if you were to see the unseen, like if you were to be able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you wouldn't be in a test anymore, because you'd know with certainty, right? You'd know with the certainty of the eye. But the thing is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an intellect for a reason, because that intellect, it leads us to certainty. The intellect, it leads us to certainty, and so the certainty of the intellect, the contentment of the heart, it can be attained through looking at the signs of Allah. Like, the greatest sign of Allah that you could look at is the Quran, like, to understand it. So, but look, let's go back to the beginning of this verse. Allah says, قَالَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Allah says, those who don't know said. So those who don't have knowledge, they said this, right? So what's the solution? What's the medicine for a lack of knowledge? Is to gain the knowledge, right? The solution to the lack of knowledge is to gain knowledge. So if you don't know, then go to those who do know. But in the meantime, begin your journey in finding out. So in order to gain the best out of life, like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing us towards knowledge once again, right? Because Allah says that the ignorant, they say these things. Tashabahat qulubuhum. Yeah? Tashabahat qulubuhum, like, their hearts are similar to whose? Those who came before them. Because people who came before them said exactly the same thing. Like, how is this life? We are in Dar al-Imtihan. We are in the world where we are being tested. That test is not to make you fail, but that test is to make you grow and become the best you can be. Now, you can't pass a test without preparing for it. Go right back to the beginning of this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَالَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Those who said this, like the people that don't know. They weren't prepared, right? They don't have knowledge. And knowledge is the thing that leads you to yaqeen, to certainty. Like, you can only gain certainty through knowledge. And knowledge doesn't have to be attained through just your sight. It could be attained through hearing. It could be attained through taste, through your five senses. Knowledge comes to us in many ways. But the ultimate knowledge that has come to us is revelation. And that is the biggest miracle of all. Like, in this Quran, you find continuous miracles. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is informing us of this, because obviously a miracle by its very definition is something that is strange. It can't happen. It's something that's impossible to our abilities. But to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing is impossible. To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing is impossible. So when you have all of these miracles, like, if you don't study them, if you don't understand them, you will not gain the yaqeen, the certainty of faith that you need to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you need to believe in the Day of Judgment, that you need to believe in doing the good that you need to do to gain the best possible life in this world and the hereafter. But the thing is, without that knowledge, like, you won't take action. That's the honest truth. Without knowledge, you won't take action. These people, they didn't take action. Why? They made excuses. That excuse was the same excuse that the people that came before them gave, which is like, well, you know, I'm not going to take action, I'm not going to believe, I'm not going to do until I know. Because what is Allah commanding you with? Allah doesn't command you with just words. Allah commands you with actions. Allah is telling us to take action. Allah is telling us to be people of action. To become better, you have to take action. Now, people don't take action because they make excuses. People don't make action because they don't know, they don't understand, they don't have certainty. Now, when you have certainty that you're going to gain some serious amount of good, or you're going to prevent something really terrible, you're going to take action because you're certain that if you don't take action, something bad is going to happen. If you do take action, something good is going to happen. So certainty leads you to taking action. And Allah is telling us here, be people of action. But you can't be people of action until you get rid of that trait of ignorance. Like, get rid of the ignorance in you. Get rid of not knowing, being in the dark. Because not knowing is like being in the dark. Not knowing, you're always dependent on other people. And ultimately, we want to prevent that. We want to stop that, because the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the revelation began to them with the very first word, read. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that you have to be an ummah of knowledge, a nation of knowledge. Because the people of no knowledge, they do things like this. They say, why doesn't Allah talk to me directly? Why doesn't Allah send to me a miracle, an ayah, a sign, so that I can believe in Him? Allah is telling us the solution to this is the knowledge. Solution to this is the knowledge, because the knowledge leads to certainty. And knowledge will lead to certainty. How? Because you take that knowledge and you take action upon that knowledge. And once you take action upon the knowledge, you start to see the fruits. And those fruits is what gives you certainty. Right? Knowledge, action, fruits, and you have certainty. If you don't have knowledge, you cannot gain certainty. How can you be certain of Allah? How can you be certain of the Day of Judgment? Unless you study, you understand, and ultimately, how can you see the fruits of your knowledge unless you take action? So you've got to take action. You've got to start with knowledge, you've got to take action, and then you will see the fruits. And with that whole combination, you will have absolute certainty. Because you will feel the benefit in your life. You don't have to see it, you will feel it. You will see it in your life, and ultimately that will change and transform your life. And that's what this journey is all about. We are taking a journey through the Quran in order to transform ourselves, to become better Muslims, to become the best possible Muslims that we could possibly be. And that has to begin with the first step, which is to take knowledge. And then once you've taken that knowledge, you've got to take action. And inshallah, you'll see the fruits, and you'll have that certainty, that yaqeen. And inshallah, with that, I will leave you. If you have any input, I'd like to hear what benefits you're extracting from these verses. Like, leave comments below. I'm interested in hearing how the Quran is impacting your lives. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.